So good morning, beautiful people. So this will be part 2 on writing better police reports. Some of you contacted me and asked for some more tips on how to improve your report writing. Report writing is a huge component of working in law enforcement and government jobs. So this video is specifically for police and sheriff and highway patrol. Those of you who are struggling or need some help, additional information on how to write police reports. So on the last videos that I've made, I've told you about how important it is to be active listeners. So when you're in the training program, you're actively listening for your call sign. And so whenever your call sign comes up, guess what? It's time to be quiet and to listen and not continue the conversation, no matter what story you're telling in the car, because you spend a lot of time in the car with your training officer. No matter what the story is, when your call sign comes up, all hands on deck. I mean, your attention is, you got to respond to the radio and decide, what to say so that you don't sound stupid. Remember, not to put extra pressure on you, but people are listening. There's citizens listening to the scanner. There's other officers that are listening to what you have to say, so you have to sound mature. Sometimes you have to change your voice a little bit so you don't sound too squeaky on the radio. Anyway, let's continue with report writing. Last time we talked about, commercial burglary, some of the stuff that comes with that. Today on this video, I'm going to talk about 415 of the California Penal Code, 415. So that's one of the most common calls for service in law enforcement is 415. Now, 415 of the California Penal Code covers disturbances, any type of disturbances. So for my department, and I know it might be different from yours, it was 415 disturbance, right? Which is people yelling at each other or loud music, etc. That might be a 415F for a family, 415 family fight in progress, right? There might be a gang fight, 415G, G as in George for gang fight. 415E, loud music. It could be a bunch of 415s, but anyway, you get the drift. There's some kind of disturbance going on, and so you get dispatched for 415. In the last video, we talked about how the majority of the calls you respond to are closed out on the computer with a little short synopsis of what you did. You got there, you checked the area, you were unable to locate, UTL. Today's video, we're going to talk about actually writing a police report and components that are needed to be successful in that part of your training program, in that part of your career. First of all, just know that if you have shitty handwriting, you can buy these small little templates that control the size of your print. Now, when you fill out report writing forms in the field, if you inclined to do so, and you're not going to type them, you're going to put them in an actual form. We require that you type in all caps, like when you fill out a form, evidence form, whatever, type in all caps. We do not use cursive in law enforcement. So if you buy the little template that I just mentioned, you can go to a uniform store, you can probably even search on Amazon, and you find this little report writing template that fits in your uniform pocket. It will control the height and almost the size of your print, making it look very professional. So if you have, shitty handwriting and you're like, is there hope for me? Can I make this thing happen? Yeah, you can buy one of those templates. They're not very expensive, and they will make it look like you're actually typing on a computer or whatever when you fill out the forms. Now, filling out forms, right? You know how they say, like, when you're in high school or when you're in college or university, the first page of your report is very important because that's the first page they see. Your professor's going to look at the first page and say, did this person make any kind of typos? Did they, did this thing look presentable? Well, the police report is the same way. Your face page is super important, more important than you think, because that report is going to end up in the district attorney's office, it's going to end up in a judge's desk, it's going to end up, defense attorney, the public, has a right under the Freedom of Information Act sometimes to access police reports. So how that face sheet looks is extremely important. And so using that template, after you use the template for a while, you'll actually get really good at filling each box on your report writing form. If your agency allows you to take the forms with you to the actual call, once everything dies down, everything's fine, now you're going to collect the information, you grab your posse box, you slap one of those forms on there, and you start writing stuff down, right? For example, stolen items, right, on a property sheet. You're going to number them 1 through whatever, chronological order like we talked about before, and you're going to, 1 TV, and what's the value and blah, blah, blah. In these report writing forms, don't leave anything blank. If it doesn't apply, it's an N/A for not applicable, or a little dash in the actual square in the report. You'll understand this more as you do it, but be methodical and be repetitive, right? So report writing forms, just like we write from left to right when you write a sentence, in report writing we start top to bottom and we go all the way to the bottom. I want to remind you of something that I may have mentioned, maybe not on the last video. There is a dispatch time where somebody called dispatch and then you were dispatched. There is an arrival time, like when you arrived on scene. And in the bottom of your police report is the completed time, right? There's actually several times. It's important that you do not standardize these times. Like, you don't be lazy and put the same time you were dispatched or same time you arrived as when you completed the report. You completed the report when you submitted it to records or whatever it is, to your supervisor, your watch commander. That's a different time than obviously when the report was dispatched, when it was received, etc. So keep that in mind when you're filling out that form. On the property section, obviously if you filled out, if you you have a whole sheet of property that was stolen or damaged, etc., you could, on the property section of the report, you could say refer to attached property sheet. Get very organized, right? Get very methodical. Now, I'm not asking you, if you're going to type a big long report, to use that template. I'm just telling you the template will come in handy when filling out report forms, and especially like traffic accidents forms, right? If you're going to have to do them on the field. Again, it's all about your department. Some departments are slow enough to let the officers come into the department and do the reports all on the computer, and that's fine. If you have that luxury, that's fine. But if you work for a large agency, you're not going to have that time. You're not going to have the time to basically sit down, grab a cup of coffee or water, and sit by your computer and do it. Most of the stuff is done in the field, and these tips that I'm giving you are just things that has worked for me in prior years working on patrol, that's made it very effective. So the sooner you write that first report writing form, the faster you'll complete the report. So if you fill out the form and you're getting pretty good at dictation, if your department allows it, you can dictate, like you can record your entire narrative, and then when you get to the station, you turn in your face sheet with your cassette tape or digital, whatever file you're going to do, your flash drive, and then somebody else types the report for you. Or if you have the form, you keep it in your posse box, and at the end of your shift, you're going into the station and you open up your posse box, and your supervisor may ask you, how many reports do you have to do? You obviously go in your posse box, and then there's 3 or 4 or 5 forms, right, report forms with case numbers, and that's how you stay organized. It is extremely important that you stay organized when writing police reports. You don't want to fall through the cracks and forget to do a report for weeks, months on end, and then somebody calls you on the carpet, and then you're trying to do some backpedaling. Okay, so enough of the of that part of the video. The other part is how do you learn different codes? How do you the 10 code, for example? How did I memorize it? When I was a police explorer, very young age, they make you actually do this. So you can find the 10 code online, but I would personally wait until you get hired by your agency to really understand, because every agency, it changes back and forth. We're approaching 10 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. I hope you got something out of this. Let me know if there's something else that you specifically want me to cover. And also, if you haven't already, subscribe. I hope that you continue to apply to as many agencies as possible. I hope that if you're interested in law enforcement, that you're finding these videos useful. I do believe that if you're listening to me and you're taking this advice to heart, actually putting it to good use, you're going to be super efficient in law enforcement. Again, hope to hear from you. Please be safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon.